Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous, fabulous TV show. Tonya.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm so excited today. Thank you for joining us again for the Tonya Hofmann Fabulous TV show. I am so excited to introduce you to the Miss Lisa Smith. Oh, hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Tonya. Great to meet up with you today.
Yay! And we're going to have so much fun like we always do. So buckle in because you got a lot that you can absorb, learn, implement, take action with. We're going to have a blast. So one of the things that I always love to do is not only collaborate and connect with fabulous people like Lisa and all these amazing people that I get to meet, but also show you how you can make a difference in your life by reaching out and connecting to people. That was one of the biggest changes for me, being an introvert. I know, I'm a recovering introvert, okay? And I started going out and saying, who do I need to know? And then who do I actually need to go further with? So meaning, coaching with them, mentoring with them, who do I need to hang around? And I started hanging around with amazing people and opening my mind to new possibilities, new ways of thinking, and stop being so scared about everything. Do I agree with everything? No, but I have the opportunity to make that decision. So Lisa's here today. Oh my gosh, she's a speaker, she's an author, she's a master certified hypnotist, hypnotherapist, something like that. Oh, wow. And she does all kinds of other amazing things. So can you tell us a little bit, Lisa, about yourself? How did you change your world? Tell us your story.
Okay, great. I'd love to share with you. I guess let me go back a little bit because there's kind of 2 or maybe 3 phases of how I've changed my world over time. I'd say the first one is shortly after I got my degree in marketing and I started working in marketing in Boston, I decided to get my certification as a hypnotherapist because I've been studying hypnotherapy on my own and hypnosis on my own since high school. So it'd always been kind of this side thing that I did, and it was just for me, and I had fun with it, but I also got some value from doing it. And I wanted to share it with other people and learn how to do it with other people so they could get benefit as well. And so while I was working for the marketing firm in Boston, I was able to take a certification course and become certified in hypnotherapy. And so I just started to kind of doing that on the side with people, friends and family, and, just kind of practicing. And then eventually I started, people started telling other people about me, and I started taking on, strangers. And so I kind of had that going on the side while I was still working for the marketing firm in Boston. And then I got this prompting to move from Massachusetts down to Virginia. And yeah, so I did that. I was still working for the marketing firm as I moved down here. And then things started changing, and I realized, I needed to start to look for something different because the job wasn't going to last too much longer. I was, they were making a lot of changes. So there was actually a hypnosis clinic in the area that I had met the owner to at a convention here in Virginia. And he said, well, if you ever need a job, we're always looking for hypnotherapists, and you're already trained, so that would be great. And so I called him up, and they hired me, right on the spot. But I took a huge, dip in salary. But over time, that paid off because I was doing something I really, really loved. Even though I love marketing, I didn't feel like I was really helping people. And so I made my leap, changed my world, going from marketing into doing hypnotherapy full-time for the clinic, and just really honed my skills. I started working with people every single day, and I worked for them for about almost 8 years and became a trainer as well. So I trained new staff coming in, and I started teaching classes. And around this time is when I joined Toastmasters so that I could become more comfortable, because I used to be really uncomfortable speaking. And so a combination of Toastmasters combined with hypnosis to help me with my anxiety around speaking in public, as well as then teaching classes at the center, that's where I started to become more comfortable with speaking. And now I love it. I love to go out and I love to share what I do with other people and help them to change their world. So that was kind of phase number 2. And then when the hypnosis clinic closed down, I was at another crossroads and I had to make a decision. Do I try to get a job back in maybe marketing again, even though I'd been out of it for so long? Or do I try to make it on my own as a hypnotherapist? And I already had a part-time business in my home, seeing people on the side outside of the hypnosis clinic. And so I just was able to transition and actually took a lot of the clients on when the center closed so that I could continue to work with them. They could continue with their programs and get results. And so it just kind of all worked out really well. And so now I've been in it full-time on my own for almost 8 years. And next month will be 8 years. So excited about that. And was just seeing people here in my home office for variety of things like weight loss, smoking, phobias, fears, sports improvement, etc. And then I think the next change in my world was adding in the element of doing business coaching. So all the things that I learned to do for myself with my business and combining my old background in marketing, along with making sure I was using these techniques like hypnosis and neurolinguistics to help me with my mindset and also help other business owners. So that's really where I'm focusing on now, is the practical aspects of marketing your business and doing sales effectively, along with the mindset to make sure that you're implementing effectively and not sabotaging, getting your own way, procrastinating on what you need to do because of fears and doubts.
Love it. And I think too, because we've had a hypnotist on the show before, and I was telling my audience, it's amazing to me how many people have this fear of being hypnotized, right? I don't want to quack like a duck. And I'm like, I really don't think that's what it's about.
Right. Not in this setting. That's entertainment hypnosis, and I'm not trained in that. I don't do that. I've never made anybody quack like a duck. It's more of the clinical hypnotherapy. So helping people with changing habits and patterns and old programming that gets in the way of them, really tapping into more of their full potential.
And I find that when I'm dealing with, I bring in somebody who's really excited about speaking or developing a business or whatever it is, that a lot of times they've got to get through those emotional issues and things that are keeping them stuck and
Right.
keeping them from trying to do things. And so it sounds like hypnotherapy would be like amazing for those people.
Yeah, it is a really powerful tool, and it was originally the only tool that I used. It was the only one that I was trained in, and then eventually I got trained in some others like NLP, neurolinguistic programming, and one of my favorites, EFT, emotional freedom technique. So I really do a combination of all of those techniques now when I'm working with clients, and it helps me to get better results. And I can share a little bit more later about like the EFT and what that does. But again, all of these techniques that I use are designed to help people to reach more of their full potential, clear out all the gremlins, all the old garbage that got programmed in over time that caused them to be afraid of things or limit themselves. And they're really designed to help people to make those changes in their mind much more quickly, much more easily, and much more permanently than the more conscious level kinds of things that people try.
I know, even with my father, who's been a chain smoker his entire life and denies ever believing in anything like this, right? Went to one of the
Group things?
Yeah, the group ones for smoking. And he comes back, he goes, "Oh, I wasn't hypnotized," but he hasn't smoked since. I'm like, whatever, Dad, And I'm like, whatever he needs to do to believe whatever he needs to believe, right? But it worked is the point, right?
Right. So whatever it was, again, it can be the catalyst. Because the power of the mind is really the power of belief. And, we see that in the placebo effect. And so if we believe something is going to happen, then, then it can happen. And he might have not believed that the hypnosis did it, but part of his mind came to believe that he was now a non-smoker, and, and so he followed through on it.
That's amazing. So tell us how you go out and change the world now. What's some tips, techniques, some ideas to help the audience?
All right. Love to share that. Well, as I mentioned, I use the different techniques to help my clients to change the old programming. So it's really helping them to tap more into the potential that they have within them. And so sometimes I'll make hypnosis recordings for them that are reinforcing the new beliefs or the new ideas or the new vision of what they want to have in their lives. I'll also do the EFT with them and teach them actually how to do the EFT themselves. I can teach them self-hypnosis, but I find that the EFT is much easier, and you can do it anytime and any place, where you can't necessarily stop and om a little bit and, do the self-hypnosis. But you can use the EFT anytime, any place, even when there's other people around, because there are discrete ways to do the EFT, which is, it's basically an acupressure type of technique. So there are certain points on the body, and with EFT we use the upper part of the body, points on the face, on the torso, the hands and fingers. And these points have a direct impact on the brain. It's like there's these wires behind each of these points that go into the brain, also goes to other areas of the body, and have a direct impact on how the brain is functioning, how the brain is wiring, firing off impulses and thoughts, and the emotions that we're producing. So when we're in any kind of negative emotional state, we are in the fight or flight mode, and the hindbrain is really active, and that's the part of the brain that stimulates the fear response that is designed to protect us. So we either have the ability to fight, to run away, or sometimes the other thing that happens is we freeze. We just stop. We shut down, and we can't do anything. So none of those are really helpful when we're not in a situation where we really have to fight off something or run away from something. And so this area of the brain is trying to protect us, but it actually stops us and becomes a detriment instead of an asset. And so what happens when we stimulate these meridian points is it starts to turn down the fight or flight center, and this area of the brain starts to go dim. And this area of the brain, the forebrain, which is where logic happens and creativity, which is usually dim when this fight or flight center is activated. When we stimulate these points, the opposite thing happens. It calms this area of the brain, the fight or flight system, and the chemicals that are being released that overproduce the negative emotional states. And we start to be able to access creative thinking, logical thinking, new ways of thinking and learning. And we actually start to produce positive emotions. So chemicals like endorphins and serotonin allow us to feel good and, again, to access the higher level types of emotions like love and possibility and acceptance and joy, etc.
Can people use kind of that, kind of tapping technique, like before they go on stage, to kind of
Absolutely.
calm themselves?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that effect, because I know some techniques you feel a little bit too calm. You need to raise your energy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there's many ways you can use the EFT. So first of all, you can clear the negative emotions that are getting in the way of you being as effective as you want. And then you can also instill or raise up more positive emotions. So you can increase a feeling of excitement or energy or optimism, joy, whatever that is. But you can't do that until you've addressed the negative emotions that are going on, because those are stronger in that moment. So you need to sort of not suppress, but clear them. So EFT, it doesn't stuff the feelings down. What it does is it creates a release of the energy of those feelings. So it's you bring it up and then you let it be dissipated.
Love it.
Versus suppressing, which then it causes it to come out when you least expect it or want it.
I know people have showed me, but it seems so complicated, I can't remember.
Okay. It's actually not very complicated at all, and we teach it to children, and they pick it up really easily. And when you watch different practitioners, they might have a couple of points that are a little bit different, but the main points is really only 8 to 12 main points. And I also, one of the things that I do is I give my clients a little cheat sheet. So it's a little card, actually. Here's an example of it. So on one side, I've got the diagram of the different spots that you would tap, along with the statements that you say when you're doing the tapping. And then on the other side is a slight variation of that technique called the gamut point. So it's another tapping technique. So I give them this card. So it's upside down, when they're learning the technique, they can just quickly pull this out and refer to it. But usually after a week of practicing it and tapping daily, they've got the point. So the first point is here, what we call the karate chop point. And then we've got the top of the head, inside of the eyebrow, and you could go either the right or the left side, or you could go both at the same time. Sometimes clients find that when they do the bilateral tapping 2 points at the same time, that they actually get better or faster results. So we've got inside of the eye, side of the eye, under the eye, then under the nose, under the lip, or what's sometimes referred to the chin point, but it's not on the chin, it's actually up here. And then we've got the collarbone point, which is right below these two nodules where the collarbone comes together. And then you're under the arm point, which for women, it's right where your bra strap is. For men, it's about 4 inches down below the armpit. And then I do the wrist. Some practitioners skip the wrist, but I do the wrist point. And then back up to the top of the head. Now, the way that I teach my clients to remember the facial points is it's like a question mark.
Oh, nice.
Okay? Or like this.
Makes total sense.
And then the dot on the question mark is the collarbone point.
Nice.
So that's an easier way to remember it. Inside of the eye, outside of the eye, under the eye. And then you've got your loop and your straight line down under the lip, under the nose, under the lip, and then your collarbone point.
That is brilliant. I have never had anybody explain how to memorize it, and that was so easy.
Good. Again, I'm all about making it easy, because all of my techniques are about making change easier. And if things are too complicated, you're not going to do it.
Exactly. I'm a big believer in the KISS method. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Right. Keep it simple. So, I'll teach clients the basic formula or the basic technique, and then see how they do with that. And then I can teach them some variations. But even the variations of the basic technique are still fairly simple. Like I said, we teach this to children, and they pick it up really easily. And sometimes they'll even share it with their siblings or share it with their friends. So they say, "Oh, you fell down, you don't feel good. Here, let me show you how to tap on yourself, and you make yourself feel better." I had a client come in the other day, and she's got a 3-year-old. And so she's been trying to integrate this in and teach it to her 3-year-old and use it with him. And she said the other day he was feeling upset about something, and he came up and he said, "Mommy, can you tap on my head to make me feel better?" And she did, and he felt better afterwards. So
that is great. I need to try that I've got a 10-year-old, starting to do the whole transition of life type of thing, and testosterone, and he doesn't know what to do with all these emotions and everything. So this would probably be a good technique, right?
Absolutely. And, but the child has to have buy-in for it. They have to, and there's a good way to explain it too. And there's a few good videos on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the woman who did it, but if any of the listeners or viewers are interested in maybe finding out more about EFT and using it for themselves or with their kids, then near the end when I share my contact information, they can always just send me an email. I'll be happy to send them a link to it.
Perfect. Yeah, and make sure you stick around to the end of the show, because she's got an amazing offer for free for y'all. So every one of my guests gives you something yummy that you need to do and implement and have fun with. So that's fantastic. So what else can you kind of give us this insight? Because I know some people out there, they're like, what? Tapping? What? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's a it's definitely an odd kind of looking technique. And like I mentioned, there's ways that you can do tapping points like on your fingers or your hand that you can do more discreetly. So if you are out in public and you don't want to look like an oddball, but you want to get the benefits of calming any kind of negative emotions, maybe you're in a meeting, or maybe again you're about to speak, but there are some other people around you, and you're feeling nervous, and you don't want to do the upper body stuff. You can do the finger points and the gamut point. And so that's another way to do it. But the thing to recognize about the tapping, even though it is sort of an odd looking technique, it is really, really powerful and very, very simple. So I always encourage people to at least give it a try. And oftentimes there are people who are totally skeptical, but they'll at least let somebody guide them through it. And then by the time they're done, they're like, oh my God, I really do feel better. What was I upset about?
right?
Yeah,
Right?
so it's like anything. Give it a try. Yeah, I have some smokers. They go, "Oh, it looks so funny," and I said, "Well, sticking a piece of paper wrapped around some weeds into your mouth as an adult pacifier doesn't look funny. If you're willing to do that."
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
So, yeah, so I say, at least give it a try. And try out, some of the different techniques with it. But the main thing to understand about it is that all of our negative emotions are a disruption in our normal energy system and pattern. And sort of like electricity, it's supposed to go in a certain way, and when it's going backwards or it's getting short-circuited, things don't work how they're supposed to. And so EFT is basically like a reset button. By stimulating these points that are now shown, we have instrumentation that actually shows that these points that Chinese medicine mapped out thousands of years ago for acupuncture actually do have a different electrical frequency to them. So when you've got certain measuring devices and you put them over one of these mapped out meridian points, it measures at a higher frequency.
Wow.
So what was once just theoretical is now being proven with the new instrumentation and science that we have. So that's really, really exciting.
Is there a certain thing that you see people can really change more than others? Is it more of an emotional state versus a kind of a physical health state?
No, you can use the EFT for whether it's something emotional or whether it's something physical. And really at the core of it, all physical things have an emotional element to them. So, what we realize is that when we're working with people on their physical things, we can do a little bit of detective work and identify what are some kind of events that happen around the time that they started to experience the physical symptoms. And there's usually something that we can point to that caused some kind of disruption. And so initially things happen emotionally, and then if we don't clear the emotion, it starts to manifest itself physically.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we can help people with all different kinds of physical situations, even ones that seemingly are, justified as a physical kind of thing. Oh, I fell and I broke my arm. Well, usually there was also something emotional going on at the time that caused you to kind of trip, and hurt yourself. Or if you've got an injury that at one time was physically based, like you fell and you broke your arm, but it's not healing, or there's still pain there, even though it supposedly has healed. And I actually had an experience like that myself years ago when I was at a ski area and I was walking. I wasn't skiing, I was walking on the porch, and I slipped on some ice that they hadn't sanded down, and I fell backwards, and I actually ended up having a sort of a fracture in my wrist. And so they casted it, and then 6 weeks later they took off the cast, and it was still just as painful as when I first broke it. And I was going to physical therapy and it wasn't helping. And as a side note to that, in the meantime, I was actually working with a lawyer to not sue, but we were talking with the ski lodge just to get them to pay my extra medical expenses that my insurance wasn't covering, because it wasn't negligent on my part. They hadn't properly standed. So I wasn't trying to get a lot of money, but I was just trying to, get some of my expenses covered. And I realized that because I was still in negotiation with this, that part of me was holding on to the idea that I was still suffering from this, to kind of prove that, I had a case. And when I kind of had that aha moment about it, I said, you know what, I'm going to heal no matter what happens with this, whether I get the money from it or not, I'm going to heal. And as soon as I made that decision, I started to get better.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Because I know I do a lot with women and men that have been victims or still in that victim mentality, right? And a lot of times it's just because they're still holding on to that moment.
Right.
They still haven't just let it go and
Yeah, they're
move.
kind of stuck in time.
Exactly. And I know I was forever until I'm like, okay, why am I always looking backwards? I can't do anything about it. It happened. Let me look forward, And even for when I was robbed and tied up when I was 6 months pregnant, it was a traumatic experience, which was so funny because I try to rationalize everything, why did this happen? And what could I have done differently? And all of these things. And I was so stuck that I was in a state of fear for a year. And then finally I'm like, what am I doing? I'm exhausted.
Yeah, from trying to always be looking around,
And I'm like, this guy is gone. He's not, it was just one of those fluke things. And once I was like, okay, let's go, it was like, wow, just making that decision made such a huge impact. And then when I found people like yourself that helped me move my stuff, my junk out of me and really push it, and move it to the side, did things really start to flourish for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't realize how unresolved emotions from past situations really hold us back or cause us to form beliefs that then limit us. So a lot of the work that I do with clients is helping to identify what their limiting beliefs are. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not important, if I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected, what I have to say isn't important, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, all these different things. And then, if you really have that belief, you're operating off of it, and it's gonna stunt what you're doing. And then it also is going to distort what's happening. So if you've got the belief the world is not safe, then you're going to continually see examples and evidence of the world is not safe, because that's now the filter you have. So your brain is now filtering the belief through the belief the world's not safe. You're going to start to notice every little thing that proves that. Whereas if you don't have that belief, you're oftentimes not even noticing those things that somebody else is noticing.
Yeah. And for me, it was, everything has happened to me, so everything's going to continue to happen, And so you're just manifesting all of
it. Have bad luck, or
yeah,
it just always happened to me.
Well,
and
I know
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. I totally agree. So tell us, you're giving something wonderful away to our listeners today. What is that?
Yes. So what I have, because a lot of the work that I do now is focusing on business owners, especially solopreneurs or micro businesses, just, a couple of people. And the majority of them are in it because they love what they're doing, but they don't have any experience or background or training in business or in marketing or doing sales effectively, etc. So they're stunted in the, getting clients or making enough money to really make it a viable business. And that's because there's two issues going on. One is they don't have the practical information that they need. And so that's like the marketing and the systems. And then the other part is the mindset. They're usually still operating under an employee mindset. So that's a big one. And they need to learn how to think like a business owner and not a service provider. They've got fears about marketing themselves, about talking about themselves. They got fears around sales and around money and limiting beliefs around all of that. So I also focus on the mindset aspect. So it's both the practical and the mindset. And that's why I developed this other part of my business, which is marketing, mindset, and manifesting. So manifesting the business that you want, making it profitable by focusing on the right things to do with your marketing and the right mindset to implement those things. So what I've got for the listeners is actually a recording that explains a little bit more and actually has some exercises for them to do to develop some of the practical things they need to do with their business, as well as identify and then start to work on clearing some of the mindset things. So it's the 3 keys you must master to get more clients and make more money doing what you love.
Nice.
And no matter what the economy is doing. And so they can get that on my website. It's an audio, and there also comes with a transcript. So whether you prefer to read or whether you prefer to listen or do both, you'll get both the audio and the transcript. It's about a 30-minute, 28-minute audio. And so they can get that on my website if they go to mmmcoach.com. So the MMM stands for Marketing, Mindset, and Manifesting. And this on the home page and most of the other pages, you'll see on the right a little opt-in box where they can put in their name and email address, and then that will get automatically sent to them. And if they have any questions about anything, they're free to email me or call me, and I'll be happy to share whatever else they might need.
Perfect. So please take advantage of that. Wow. I mean, that's such an amazing offer. Thank you for offering that.
Sure. And and like I said before, also, if anybody wants more information about the EFT and some of those YouTube videos, especially like working with kids or introducing it to your children or doing it for yourself, then they can also email me. And my contact information is on the website as well. And I'll be happy to share that with them also.
Perfect. Perfect. So get connected to Lisa. You won't be sorry. You're going to just, obviously you already love her. And then don't forget, if you're putting on an event, she's a perfect speaker for you, right? She's got differences. She's got new ideas. She's got the best personality. So holler at her, pick her up the phone, email her, and see how else you can get her connected. And reach out to me and to Lisa. You know, we want to get to know you. We want to help you. We want to change your life for so much for the better and forever, right? So we're so glad that you're here today. Thank you, Lisa, for being a part of the show today.
Thanks, Tonya. It was great. And thank you so much for what you do, helping all of us to be able to change the world from the front of the room and in our own special ways.
It is so much fun. And you'll be able to find Lisa and, of course, myself on the website, Public Speakers with an S Association.com. I am the CEO and founder of the Public Speakers Association because it is so much fun to connect to so many people, help change the world, because everybody needs to have this kind of information. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye-bye.